Hello everyone, it's Brian here in Toronto. I hope you're doing well. I think you can probably hear that I still have a bit of a cold, but I feel a lot better. Thank you for asking. The coughing has kind of subsided. The symptoms are going away. I feel a lot more energetic, which is all good news. I was watching a video from Olivier at the Vinyl Lounge, Montreal yesterday, and he was saying that he was also in the final stages of a cold. And his strategy was to drink whiskey in order to get rid of the last remnants of his cold. And here I was drinking orange juice and water. I think maybe he had the better idea, but I guess time will tell. So today I'm doing a thread response video for Steve at the Ralstonian Music Report. That's a channel I mentioned in my last video, which coincidentally was a contest entry for Olivier at the Vinyl Lounge Montreal. I did a shout out to Steve, and within the last 2 weeks or so, he posted a video proposing a thread in which people would make videos talking about 5 songs about the moon. So I have almost done that, and you'll see why at the end. But I'll put a link and encourage you to have a look at Steve's thread and maybe take part in the video. Take part in the thread. I've seen a few other channels do this as well. So without any further delay, here we go. First one, Adrian Belew. This is a record called Lone Rhino from 1982. I've always loved this album cover, although one has to think there's some Photoshop trickery there because that seems really dangerous. Here's the back. Of course, you may well know that Adrian Belew was the vocalist and additional guitarist in King Crimson for many years, starting in the early 80s. And sadly, when Crimson reformed a few years ago with Robert Fripp, they didn't invite him back, unfortunately, which I think is a tragedy because I always loved his singing. This record has a song called The Man in the Moon, which you may be able to see there. I listened to that song for years and years without really thinking too deeply about it. But after some time, I read the liner notes, and it said, he wrote, "It's about the death of my father. It took 11 years and one surreal evening to put words on my feelings." I guess I should have figured that out because there's references to fathers and sons and that kind of thing. So that's a really, lovely song about his father. But it's sad, of course. And I guess I was thinking about why I chose this record. I realized I had a lot of songs about the moon. And I think the reason I chose that one, knowing the backstory, after many years of not knowing it, is because this has been a sad week for us, because yesterday we went to the funeral for a friend and colleague who passed away way too young, so it's been a sad period of time. And so I guess I was thinking about, loss when I thought about that song. The second thing I chose is from a collaboration called Elvi. This is an album called Return to the Moon. This is Matt Berninger of The National, sporting a beard, which ties in with the last video. This is Brett Knopf, who is in Ramona Falls, and possibly another band that I forgot about. This is a really good record, if you ask me. It came out in 2015. The first track is Return to the Moon. It has a long subtitle called Political Song for Dee Dee Bloom to Sing with Crescendo. Now, I did a search on Dee Dee Bloom because I'd never heard that name before, and all my results came back to this record, so I don't know what's going on there. I guess they invented it. But I actually think we should return to the moon, right? It's been too long. That would be fun, dangerous, probably expensive. So if you listen to this, you'll recognize Matt's voice, but I don't think the band really sounds like The National in the same way. Here we have a 1989 record from Warren Zevon called Transverse City, and there is a track on here called They Moved the Moon, last track on side A. It seems impossible to move the moon, although it happened in Space 1999, although by accident. This is an okay record. I think it may be a little unheralded, perhaps. I can't even remember if there was a big hit song in here. I don't actually remember. But 1989. And then a song that could well be described as the opposite of that, Killing Joke from Pandemonium. There is a song called Black Moon. This came out in 1994, and it sounds exactly like you would expect from Killing Joke in 1994. In other words, it sounds amazing. This is the 2020 repressing of that record on double vinyl, which is excellent. And For the last part, which should be one additional song, I have 4 things here, but they all tie in together, if you can believe it or not. This is a band I've spoken about many times. For some reason, it's a Canadian band called Max Webster, led by Kim Mitchell, who was the guitarist and, in most cases, the lead singer. But it's weird to think that for the first 4 records, they had a Moon song on each of those records. So I'm going to go through them very quickly. By the way, their lyrics were written by a Quebec poet called Pi Dubois, who's also notable for having co-written a couple of Rush songs. For example, he co-wrote the lyrics to Tom Sawyer with Neil Peart, believe it or not. So on their debut record, there's a track called Coming Off the Moon. High Class in Borrowed Shoes, there's a song called In Context of the Moon. Mutiny Up My Sleeve, there's a song called Beyond the Moon. A Million Vacations, there's a song called Moon Voices, which is the only instrumental Moon track. And then on their 5th and final record, there were no Moon songs at all, which is a little perplexing. So 4 for 4, and then nothing about the Moon. So there we go, 5 songs about the Moon. Well, actually, that's really not 5, but it's more than 5. But thanks for watching. Feel free to take part in the thread, and I'll see you in the next video.